Hey guys, this is Russell VXL09, and for this Slash 4x4 upgrade, we're going to be doing the 3458 Traxxas Heatsink along with the 3456 Heatsink fan. Alright, so if you have a smaller heatsink on there right now, or no heatsink at all, and you're experiencing high temp issues, or you just like to keep your temps down more, this is going to be the part for you. So this heatsink and fan is made to fit on the Slash 4x4 with, I believe, just one small modification of cutting a bracket, and it will plug directly into the receiver box for power. So no need to go and buy a power splitter if you've already got a fan on your ESC. Now, like I said, this motor mount and fan is made for the Vlenion sized motors. So I'd imagine anything around the same size category, this would also work on. This should be a fairly easy upgrade that should take less than 30 minutes. The main parts that we'll be removing is the motor mount screw over here and all the screws for the receiver box. I'm going to start out by loosening or removing them all. Alright, and for this upgrade we're going to be removing the motor mount screw, which I already have, along with the 4 screws that hold in the receiver box and this gear cover screw up here on the top. Alright, and with those 2 screws removed, we can take out the motor like this. It's still all wired up, but next we're just going to remove the motor mount, which will be these 2 screws right here. Make sure you use a good Allen key, as you don't want to strip these ones. Alright, and while removing the second screw, I jinxed myself and stripped it out pretty well. I ended up getting fairly lucky and removing it with a T9H star bit, which was slightly larger than the hex and dug into that soft stainless steel. Alright, and with the motor mount plate now off, we can either slide off our old motor mount and slide on the new one, or if you haven't got an old one, just slide on the new one. And for maximum heat transfer to the heatsink, I'm going to go ahead and just clean up the motor real nice so it has better contact. Alright, so now I'm just going to slide the new one over the motor. Alright, and here is the new heatsink installed. Much better coverage than my old one. So hopefully this alone will help me get better temps. But now let's go ahead and reinstall everything so that we can get the fan hooked up. Alright, and for getting the gear mesh set correctly, Traxxas recommends setting a piece of paper between the pinion and spur gear and then tightening down. So you're leaving about a gap the size of a piece of paper. Once I get everything lined up perfectly, I usually scratch and etch just a straight line across from both the motor mount plates so that I can align it quickly next time. Alright, and now that the motor's all hooked back up, we're going to follow the instructions posted on Traxxas' site, and we're going to use diagonal cutters or something equivalent to cut off right here and right here. This fan is made for the Haas 4x4, and for all the other 4x4 models installing this, the modification will have to be made to just cut off this part right here that sticks down. Alright, and with that cut off, it should look something like this. We're next going to use the included screws to install it into the heatsink. Something like that. Alright, and now with the fan all installed, we're going to remove all 4 of the screws on the receiver box. Alright, and with all 4 screws removed, I'm going to use the included cable that came with the fan, and I think I'm gonna put it in a way where it wraps behind the ESC and then feeds into the box. So I'm just going to take off the top cover, feed it through to where I think it has enough room, and then I'm going to actually tighten back down this top plate. And if you ever do any riding through water, Traxxas does recommend putting a little bit of silicone underneath just to help create that waterproof seal. All right, and once you've got the wires adjusted for the ESC, you can open it up and you're going to plug this into channel 5/battery on the receiver, which for my receiver happens to be this end one right here. All right, and now that the fan is plugged in, we're going to tuck away all these wires and close back up the receiver box. All right, now that we have everything wired up and fastened back down, it's time for the moment of truth. And there she is. As for the wire that comes out of the receiver box, right now it's just tailing around to the back. I might get a zip tie and tie it around something just so that it doesn't touch that center drive shaft. Also, you may have noticed originally I had electrical tape wrapping these wires because they would rub up against my old heatsink and I didn't want them damaging them. This new fan, as you can see, has a plastic guard that will cover the ends of the heatsink. That way you don't have to worry about anything damaging your cables over here. Alright, and that was the installation for the Traxxas heatsink and Traxxas heatsink fan with instructions I pulled directly from their website. If you'd like to see a picture of their illustrations or read how Traxxas instructs people to put it on, I'll leave a link to that in the description. If you've enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please consider leaving a thumbs up and subscribing if you're not already. And if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But until next time, this is Russell VXL09 going out.